Welcome, listeners. I'm Alex Ortiz, Program Manager for WorldAware, and I'll be moderating this discussion. With me today, we have two intelligence analysts, Sophie Bales and Kara Gronborg, who will be engaging in a few exercises on how to start the conversation with your personnel about LGBTQ travel safety. Thank you for joining me today, colleagues.
Happy to be here.
Thank you.
So, I want to kick off today's webinar by saying that a company's duty of care extends to all of its employees, regardless of their gender identity and sexual orientation. It is necessary that risk managers and other related professionals understand the challenges facing LGBTQ travelers and the community, so they can properly support and protect their employees. Risk managers can diplomatically and sensitively start a pre-travel conversation by approaching the topic matter-of-factly, as another part of the travel discussion. The topic should be normalized and included in the discussion with all travelers, whether they are known to be part of the LGBTQ community or not. About 50% of LGBTQ employees are not out in their workspace or have not shared their gender identity and sexual orientation.
Thank you, Alex. It's important that risk managers do not encourage or force LGBTQ employees to come out, as many may not wish to or be comfortable with disclosing their sexuality at work. And it's not necessary to know an employee's gender identity or sexual orientation in order to provide them with the information that they need.
All employees need to be able to access information and resources for LGBTQ travelers. This way, employees who are still not out in the workplace are able to view the information without outing themselves or having to explain their sexual orientation. Many businesses choose to put LGBTQ-related security and travel materials on their intranet site or include the information in sections of their travel or expatriate briefs. This way, employees can access the information anonymously. Resources made available may be an organization's diversity and non-discrimination policy, information on LGBTQ employee resource groups and their contact information, and more. So, Kara and Sophie, let's conduct a role-playing exercise to demonstrate how a risk manager can properly engage an employee in a conversation about LGBTQ travel safety.
Sure, that's a great idea, Alex.
In the role-playing exercise, Sophie will be meeting with Kara to discuss Kara's upcoming business travel. Sophie is acting as risk manager to provide Kara with resources available to her, specifically those related to potential LGBTQ threats during her travel. So without further ado, let's begin.
Hello, Kara. Thank you for joining me to discuss your upcoming business travel to India. I wanted to give you some of the general traveler security information we provide for all of our traveling employees, and I'll show you where to access additional information for your reference, and of course, answer any questions that you might have.
Thanks, Sophie. I appreciate you taking the time to discuss my upcoming travel with me.
You're welcome. The security team here provides security briefs for all of our business travelers that are specific to the location or locations that they will be visiting. We do also provide a number of other traveler security related resources. In the brief I sent to you, you will find information on topics such as security concerns, transportation, recommended immunizations, and who to contact in case of an emergency.
Yes, I received the security brief for my trip yesterday and gave it a quick look over. I also met with my doctor earlier this week to discuss the recommended vaccinations for the trip, and we also talked about health safety while abroad.
Yes, that is great. I recommend that travelers arrange for a pre-trip medical visit if possible before their travel, so I'm glad you're on top of things. It's important that travelers know the health risks of the location that they're visiting, so we include this information in the trip brief. You may have seen that we also include links to our intranet site where you can access information specific to female and LGBTQ travelers.
Thanks, I'll take a look.
Sure thing. And I do also want to point out resources on our intranet, including the organization's diversity and non-discrimination policy and information on our LGBTQ employee resource groups and their contact information. You'll also find information on services provided by our employee assistance program, such as behavioral health and how to cope with stress and anxiety, and the contacts of people in the company that employees can go to for confidential LGBTQ related work questions like myself.
Thanks, Sophie. I really appreciate it. And thank you for providing multiple resources to prepare me for my trip to India.
Risk managers should show no judgment and create a safe and accepting environment when having this travel discussion or briefing. Keep in mind, acceptance is not the same as approval. Risk managers do not need to approve of a traveler's identity, personal choices, or lifestyle, but it is their duty to support all types of travelers with the information to keep them safe while abroad. If an employee is open about their sexuality or has LGBTQ-related questions, risk managers should not be shocked by them or unprepared. A good way for risk managers to gain sensitization is by attending LGBTQ or diversity seminars and trainings. Let's jump back to the conversation between Sophie and Kara, so they can show you how to bring up unique security concerns that LGBTQ individuals may face. Sophie will invite Kara to ask any questions she may have about her upcoming travel. Note that she will not show surprise or bias when Kara mentions she is a member of the LGBTQ community and allows Kara to freely ask questions and voice her concerns. The floor is yours, Sophie.
Thanks, Alex. Kara, before we go any further, I want you to know that the conversation we're having is confidential. You can ask any questions you may have so that I can address any concerns prior to your travel.
I'm really glad the company provides this type of information for employees and that you brought up the subject, Sophie, because I have a few concerns and questions about my travel.
Great, let's go ahead and address those concerns.
Well, my husband occasionally accompanies me on business trips and will be joining me in India. Might there be any issues for us traveling in India as a couple, as my husband is transgender?
That's a great question, Kara. There are a lot of considerations to think about as a member of the LGBTQ community when traveling abroad, particularly if homosexuality is illegal or if there's laws that restrict or don't protect the freedoms of LGBTQ individuals. I can make you aware that last year, a section of India's penal code that essentially banned same-sex relations was repealed. And while the decision has likely lessened the stigma surrounding the LGBTQ community, it'll take some time to reach widespread social acceptance. You may notice while you're in the country that some organizations have an LGBTQ-friendly tag on their storefronts.
That's reassuring to hear, Sophie.
It is. However, discrimination is still frequent. So we suggest that you maintain situational awareness and maintain a low profile to avoid drawing negative attention or even verbal harassment.
We definitely want to avoid any potential issues while we are there and also while we're in transit.
Yes, some issues can come up while LGBTQ travelers go through airport security, whether in their home country or while abroad, as airport security is gender divisive. LGBTQ travelers, particularly for transgender and non-binary individuals, may be instructed to go through a body search or further questioning if their anatomy does not match the gender the airport security agent perceives them to be.
That actually happens quite a lot when my husband and I travel. We have started to factor in a bit more time to go through airport security because of it.
That's a good idea, Kara. It may help if the photo and gender marker on your husband's identification is up to date to show his current presentation. Medical services may also be different than you and your husband are used to, and a hospital triage or clinic may not have a standard protocol for transgender patients. We do recommend that you bring your health records in English and the local language if possible to help a hospital visit go more smoothly.
We'll definitely have to ask our doctor about that just in case. My husband also takes hormones. Are there any issues with bringing them into the country?
There may be limited or no access to certain hormones or medications. We recommend that travelers bring enough medication to last the duration of their trip and to have subscription duplicates and generic names. Do you have any other questions or concerns?
Not at this time. Thank you very much for the information and for making me feel comfortable in voicing my concerns and answering my questions.
Absolutely, you're welcome. Also, the link in the travel brief you were sent has more information on specific concerns, considerations, and risk mitigation advice for LGBTQ travelers going abroad. I would suggest that you read through these materials before you leave for your trip, and please do reach out to me if you have any additional questions that come up.
Great, will do. Thank you.
So, as you just heard, Sophie stayed objective during her conversation with Kara. Thank you both for playing that out for our listeners.
Our pleasure.
Of course.
I want to go over a few key takeaways from this presentation. First, the topic of LGBTQ security should be included as another part of the travel discussion, regardless of whether an employee is thought to be part of the LGBTQ community or not. Second, LGBTQ materials should be made available for all employees to access. And finally, there are specific security concerns for the LGBTQ community, such as the legality of homosexuality in a country, airport security and border control, social acceptance, and access to healthcare abroad. Because of these concerns, providing personnel with risk information is critical. For more information about risks to LGBTQ individuals and WorldAware's LGBTQ Bespoke Intelligence, visit worldaware.com.